Hey there, Emily Stamets here, life coach for the women and femme folks of theater. I help you to reclaim your identity and your freedom off stage as well as on. Today I want to talk about the one simple question that started me down the path of living my own Broadway-worthy life. But first, head to the link in the video description here and download your step-by-step guide. It's called The Secrets of a Broadway-Worthy Life, and it just walks you step-by-step through everything you need to know to do to your life what I have done to mine and created a life of beauty and abundance, and just that I'm super excited to wake up every single day to live my own life and to be me. So here's the one simple question that I ask. Now, where I was at this point in my life is I had been teaching for a long time and I kind of lost myself in teaching. I had then gone back to grad school. I did grad school, I was teaching, and then I also left and went back to grad school again because that's just who I am. And I came back from that. I had gone to the East Coast, came back to the West Coast, and could not get a job to save my life. I spent a year totally unemployed, pretty depressed, right? There were days I didn't even get out of bed because I just couldn't find the energy or the motivation. I was like, why would I even get out of bed? There's nothing to do. It was a pretty dark time in my life. And then that started, a journey. I finally got tired of living that dark life, and I started a journey of, personal discovery and personal development. And I started reading all these things and studying all these things. And all of these gurus and all these famous people were talking to me about you have to have a vision for your life, and you have to align everything in your life to what you want and create a flow of energy that's heading in that direction. And I was hearing all these things, and it took me 3 years before finally I was like, wait a second, I totally have a master's degree in this, right? Because I have a master's in theatrical design and production. So now all of a sudden, once I realized it was the same thing, right? Creating a beautiful life and a life of abundance, a life of joy is the same thing as creating a wonderful show. It's the exact same thing. So I wanted to give you five, a framework for 5 things that you've got to know about living a Broadway-worthy life and what a Broadway-worthy life is. Because I use this phrase all the time, and I know it sounds like, what is this crazy person talking about? So I just want you to kind of have an idea of what it is. So here we go. 5 things that every theatrical person has to know about living her own Broadway-worthy life. Number 1, you've got to know where you're going. You have to have a director's vision, right? Every great show starts with vision. It starts with knowing what you want. It starts with knowing what the audience is going to get out of seeing the show. So you've got to just really have a really solid, clear view of what you want. This doesn't mean that you have to know every step of the way. It doesn't mean you have to have the next 20 years of your life planned out. It just means you need to have a good idea of what you want people to feel after when they spend time with you, what the impact is that you want to have on the world, and just sort of an idea, an umbrella view of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. When you've got that director's vision, then you can start designing the rest of your life to align that direction, just like we do with the show, right? Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, no bullshit. In a great show, everything that is extraneous to the main plot, and you know how it is, and you're doing a show and you're like, oh yeah, it'd be a great idea, let's do a dance number here, or let's throw in some puppets. I used to do devised theater with a lot of puppets and masks and stuff, and we went off the rails on a ton of stuff. But then as we got closer and closer to opening night, we would start to cut things left and right? Because it's oh my gosh, well that just has nothing to do with the story that we're actually trying to tell, right? That puppet is just pulling focus from the main character's journey. So when you really figure out where it is that you want to go and the life it is that you want to live, now you get to start cutting the stuff that's extra. You cut the stuff that's pulling focus, say goodbye to anything in your life that's not aligned on this path, or get as close to that as you possibly can. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is every detail should be aligned. Now this is a lifelong journey, really. But from here on out, once you figure out what your vision is, from here on out, everything that you allow into your life should be aligned with that vision in some way. Whether it's a person, whether it's the kind of underwear that you buy, whether it's the colors that you choose for your walls, what is it that you're trying to create for your life, right? What's your vision? What's your purpose? Now allow your set, your costumes, your lighting design, your casting, let everything align with that goal and that vision. And all of a sudden, you're going to just start feeling like stoked to get up in the morning and be yourself again, right? And that's kind of the goal, I think, of life, is to be excited to be you every single day. So the more closely your life can align, from the tiniest details up to the biggest decisions, align it with your director's vision, and you'll get closer and closer to that life that you can really be obsessed with. All right, number 4, dream big, okay? We know that in a Broadway-worthy show, right, Broadway-worthy producers, directors, performers, designers, they don't let impossible exist. Right? They say, oh, sure, you need a volcano on stage? Can totally do that, right? You need the Titanic on stage? Great, I got you covered. And you figure it out. So when you're living a Broadway-worthy life, you need to allow yourself to dream as big as possible, and to not let yourself think like, well, what I really want is that, but I know that that's too much to ask for, or I know that that's impossible. I know that's not going to fit on my stage, right? None of that. You allow yourself to dream without limitations. When you're building a Broadway-worthy life, you've got to allow yourself to want what you really actually want. Just want it. Let yourself want it. Okay? And from there, then you can start to figure out how to do it. Right? You figure out how to get the Titanic on stage. You figure out how to make that volcano explode. You figure it out. You figure out how to work in like tiny spaces and stuff, right? Okay, so that brings me to number 5. Number 5, every limitation is just an opportunity to get better, right? I mean, this is like such a typical like self-help thing, which I know it sounds really silly, but think about doing a show. When you're doing a show, if you're like, oh shoot, like there's some weird pipes in the way over stage, or, you know, our theater only holds 10 people, you figure out how to make it work. And usually, because we're amazing, creative, beautiful, artistic people, usually our solutions to these limitations and these challenges end up being even better than the original plan anyways, right? They end up being more creative, more interesting, more exciting for the audience, right? And so you sort of allow your life to be the same way. Think of the limitations that you've got. Think of your circumstances. Think of everything that's holding you back. Now, how can you find the creative solution that not only works around that limitation, but is actually a better, more interesting, more exciting choice for your life? All of that is out there for us. If we can do it on stage, then we can do it in our own lives. All right. Now, the coolest thing about all of this is that you already know everything you need to know to do this to your life. Whether you took like a beginning drama class in high school, or you are actually performing on Broadway, you have enough in your toolkit right now to get started. You just need to take this lens that you've cultivated around your own work on stage as a designer, as a director, take that lens and start to turn it towards your own life and ask yourself, are my choices aligned with do I know what my vision is? First of all, do I even have any idea what my show is about? That's always the first question. Number 2, are my choices aligning in that direction? Are they heading in the direction of my director's vision? Or is there something that's like totally pulling focus and pulling me off of my path, right? Start to cut the things that don't work. Start to cultivate the things that do work. And I guarantee that in no time flat, you will absolutely be living a life that you are more excited about. All right, if you want a step-by-step guide for that, head up to that link in the video description. Download The Secrets of a Broadway-Worthy Life. It walks you through step-by-step, scenic design, costume design, lighting design, producing, so that you really can start to figure out kind of like where you're unaligned in your life and start to create the next steps, decide on your next steps to living a fully aligned, beautiful, and Broadway-worthy life. All right, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next week at the same time. Have a beautiful day.